Ladies and gentlemen, how are we doing? Welcome back to the Young Fan Podcast. Disappointing scenes for this podcast episode, and one that I really didn't. It sounds complacent and it sounds arrogant, but I didn't really expect to be coming on the podcast in such a mood, because I actually thought we would be better and we'd come into today's game and get a result, or a better result than we did. We lose the game 2-0, and I'd say we comfortably lost the game, which is really disappointing. And there's a lot to discuss, because it was a really quite disappointing, and it's difficult to put into words, but it generally was a very, very disappointing, sloppy, poor performance. If that's the best way of putting it, I think they're the best words I can use. Ahmed says shocking, mate. I'm not going to go overboard. I'm not going to go overboard with it. It's 2-0. We knew Blackpool were a decent side. Make sure the stream's okay. Make sure everything's holding up okay, because we're going to go straight into it, and we're not going to mess about. We're going to go all guns blazing with how I feel about the game. I'm not going to go too over the top. Blackpool are a good side. The season isn't over. I know the title is playoffs over. There's a question mark there for a reason, because I don't believe really that we can start worrying too much about it. However, it's a worrying performance. It's a worrying result. And that's and we don't really want to be in this boat. It's the business end of the season. It's the part of the season when we need to be getting results. We need to be taking opportunities in games, and today was an opportunity to finish and get a place. So definitely not finish, but certainly get a place in the top 6 for the first time this season. We get that opportunity. We work our absolute socks off in midweek to get a fantastic result against Doncaster. It comes to today, and we really didn't take the opportunity. We didn't take the chance. Please do give your thoughts in the live chat as well. I'll be reading out all of your thoughts as per usual. I'll be intrigued to see how you think of this. Very, very different atmosphere from the result on Tuesday. And it's going to be a very, very different style podcast episode, because we're not going to be in the same boat. And I'm not as happy as I was, obviously, on Tuesday. We win the game 3-0 against Doncaster. A really, really positive, and it was a positive, and and there was so many positives to take from it. But I remember I said it on the podcast. We all said it on the podcast there and then. What the most important thing we have to do is take something from that fantastic Doncaster game, bring all the positives, all the confidence to Saturday in a big game against Blackpool, who have got games in hand, who are now, they're already in the shout for the playoffs anyway, but certainly in the shouts for the playoffs. And we've handed them a pretty easy game. I'd say it's a pretty comfortable game for them. I think they cruised past us. They were better than us. We were quite sloppy and generally really, really poor. So I really don't think we can complain too much about the result, to be honest. And that's the frustrating thing. We can't really sit here and make many excuses, because at the end of the day, we had a good result against Tuesday. We had time to rest. We had from Tuesday obviously to Saturday, like every other team has. And we either didn't prepare well enough, we didn't do enough homework on Blackpool. We thought it was going to be an absolute, we were going to be in cruise control for 90 minutes and get a win, with no issue. But it actually turns out that we went there. I'd say, yeah, we were complacent today, and we got what we deserved. I 100% think Blackpool deserved the win. I don't think we can sit here as Oxford United fans and say that we didn't get what I think we definitely got what we deserved, and Blackpool the better team for 90 minutes. Ahmed says shouldn't go from winning 3-0 against Doncaster to lend 2-0 at home. Where's the consistency? And I think you're spot on. I think the consistency is the most important thing in football. This league's so difficult to get out of. We see the results today. Peterborough drawing 3-3 to Rochdale. Teams are dropping points. Teams around us are dropping points. It was an opportunity today to get us into the top 6. And what did we do? We quite frankly bottled it, I think. We definitely did bottle it. We had an opportunity to get into the top 6, and we do it. And I'll get back to you on Tuesday. We'll be having the same conversation. I'm not going to jinx anything, but I'm confident in saying that I believe that we'll go and beat Northampton on Tuesday. We'll then come on to a very, very difficult game on Friday against Lincoln. We'll be saying it then. What can we take from Northampton to Lincoln? It's going to be a very, very difficult game. And then, what happens if we then drop points and lose to Lincoln, which wouldn't be awful, but it wouldn't be great, would it? We want to be going to Lincoln and getting a better result and trying to get something from the game. They're not in great form. They got a decent result against Sunderland today, but generally they weren't. They're not an outstanding team that I think should be superior to us in any way. We definitely shouldn't go there, afraid or anything like that. So I generally think It's about taking really, really good games and taking that positivity into the next games, just like we did on that amazing winning run we went on. We took positives from that game, we took it to that game, we took it to that game. Before you know it, you're on a fantastic run. This time, we're really, really struggling. It's back-to-back Saturday defeats. It's very, very disappointing. And quite frankly, I think I'm going to be honest and say I think we definitely bottled an opportunity today to finish to get ourselves in the top 6. I've got some points I'm going to go for as well. Please do like and subscribe if you're new. We don't just do Oxford United content. I've got a really, really exciting episode of the podcast. I think will probably be... I'm going to say it probably will be my best ever podcast episode I've ever done. It's going to be such an exciting one. I'm so happy that it's finally going to be done. So please do subscribe if you don't want to miss that. It's going to be a great one. It's actually not really Oxford United rated. It is, but it's not... you don't have to be an Oxford United fan, I guess, to enjoy it. But there is Oxford United, of course, in there, and it is involved. But it's a great podcast episode that I've enjoyed putting together. So please do subscribe, and I definitely think it should be one to look forward to. But back to the game. I think in the first half, we look at the goal. It was sloppy. Really, really sloppy first goal to concede. They wanted it more in the box. When the ball came in, we sort of looked around and we didn't, they were desperate to get into the back of the net, as you can imagine. They wanted to get it in, they wanted to score the goal more than we wanted to stop them from doing it. We didn't look strong enough. We looked like we didn't really want to get there, get a foot in and try and get it away as quickly as they wanted to put it in the back of the net. We paid the price and, we conceded from it. The second goal is even worse. It's a really, really, really poor second goal to give away because it's just shouldn't happen. The Stevens throws it out to Hansen. It's a Hansen pass into Liam Kelly. There's question marks of whether or not it's a bobble or not. I think it's a little bit, maybe a little bit nice to Kelly if we're talking about a bubble, but bobble or not really, that definitely shouldn't be a pass that goes out for a corner, but it does. It's a corner. It's a free ball into the box. It didn't need to be a corner. It's a really, really sloppy pass. They come in and they score a corner. So it's 2 set pieces we concede. It's very, very disappointing. And again, 2 set pieces. Didn't want it as much as they did. They wanted it much more than we did, and we paid the price once again. But the most frustrating thing is it should not have been a corner anyway, because we were so poor in defending the corner and giving away a corner. We give away a free corner, and then we don't even defend the one that we give them for free anyway. So to be fair, we get what we deserve there as well. Charlie says, "Hello, mate. How you doing, my friend? Please do give your thoughts on the game, Charlie. Be always reading your thoughts out." And that goes by everyone as well. Please do. Charlie says, "Awful today." I think you summarised it pretty well there, mate. I don't think you could be any more blunt, but 100% correct. Going through my notes here, yeah, we didn't win the midfield battle. That's another thing as well. The midfield battle today was Doncaster's, was Blackpool's today. Blackpool won everything in the middle. I thought Kelly got subbed up at half time. I don't think he can be too unhappy about it. I think he was pretty poor, very poor, I'd say, in the first half. Really, 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 really poor. Sloppy again. It wasn't just the fact that he got that corner, basically handed them a corner. It wasn't just that. Generally, I thought in the first half he was very, very poor and didn't really do anything for us in that midfield. And we need, against the top side, against Blackpool, who we know are going to be a very difficult side to beat. We definitely need to be winning a midfield battle. It happens in any game, in any football match. If you win the game, it's normally because your midfield was better than theirs. And today, from the first minute, I'd say even from the second minute, we had spells of being better, but generally across the 90, they were better than us in the midfield because our midfield three was, when we subbed them off at half time. So, that just sums it up, really, doesn't it? Charlie says, I thought nothing clicked with us. Nothing really went our way. 100%. But we can talk about nothing went our way. We can talk about luck and all that sort of thing. But at the end of the day, Charlie, you've got to create your own luck sometimes. And I don't think we did today. I thought we were pretty... Again, I'm going to say it again. We were bad. We were very, very bad. Like I said there, Kelly and Goring get subbed off at half time. If that doesn't show you enough how much our midfield wasn't working, and like Charlie says, the team wasn't clicking. If you're taking 2 players off from the midfield out of 3 at half time, it proves clearly that Karl Robinson knows that midfield is not working whatsoever and not working the slightest. And again, it's proven again today that it was really, really, really not working. And it's almost a polar opposite result and a polar opposite performance from what we saw on Tuesday. We spoke about it there. You go and watch that. If you haven't watched that podcast episode, I really loved doing it. I came on here. We had a great discussion. It was a great laugh. And it was a great match reaction. It was a great match for review. It was a really, really good podcast episode. You come here today and it's like, this is how Doncaster were feeling It's how Doncaster were feeling on Tuesday. Really, really down, really upset. But I don't think Doncaster could complain too much about when we beat them on Tuesday, and we can't complain about when Blackpool beat us today. They were better than, we were better than Doncaster by a million miles, there's no doubt about that, but Blackpool a million miles better than we were today anyway. So, it swings and roundabouts, that's football, but I don't believe in this sort of, luck, tiredness, complacent, different, all this different. I believe in the complacency. I think we were complacent, but I don't believe in this luck and it wasn't our day sort of stuff. I don't believe in that. I think in times, to an extent maybe, but generally I don't really think that that's the way that football, I don't think that's the way we should be looking at it really. I thought generally we weren't good enough for 90 minutes and we paid the price for it. Charlie says we can't beat ourselves up about it. We're 11th, but still 3 points. There's the all-important 6th spot, 100%, mate. And that's what I said. I don't think we should go overboard. And yeah, I definitely am very frustrated, and I'm definitely going to come across very, very unhappy. But that's the emotion that I think I'm feeling. I'm sure a lot of Oxford United fans are feeling as well. We're going to feel annoyed about it. We're going to feel upset. And like Charlie says Charlie just said that in that chat. It's going to be like that, isn't it? It's going to be that sort of feeling of we're really down, we're really, really upset. It's a poor performance, it's a poor result. But at the same time, you look at the league table. I've got it up here. You look at the league table, we're not a million miles away. And then, we're all like, what are you all moaning about? Well, I'll tell you what we are moaning about, and I'll tell you why I think we have good reason to be frustrated today, is because we had that opportunity. The title of the podcast episode originally was called Can Oxford United finish in the top 6? It's a fat no, because at the end of the day, we had an opportunity to do something about it. We had an opportunity to get ourselves in there. We bottled it, and now we're 11th. We're 11th, and it sounds horrific. But we're on 53 points. The first team is on 57. 56. It's a 3-point gap. It's really, really doable, and a really possible. It's very, very possible that we can finish in the top 6. Still, we've got a difficult game against Northampton. I say difficult for a reason. That's because every single team is going to prove difficult in League One, and then at the same time, we've then got an even harder game on Friday against Lincoln as well, who are having a bit of a slump, but generally are always going to give us a very, very good game of football and, are going to be definitely up for it. They beat us at the start of the season. They were much better than us. I thought at one point they were going to win the league. They're having a bit of a slump, but generally they're a great side. They're 4 for a reason. Charlie says Blackpool surprised me today. To be fair, They did a little bit, but I always knew Blackpool were going to be decent. You look at their recent results, you look at their form, you look at the manager they've got. They've got a good manager from Liverpool, ex-Liverpool under 23s manager. He's not a bad manager, and he's building something at Blackpool. They had a really, really good transfer window. They're a little bit sloppy at the start of the season. They weren't great. They were pretty much, they were mid-table. Didn't look like they were going to threat top 6 at all. They proved themselves and proved to a lot of people that they definitely, if they do get some good results, they can, get themselves back into the top 6 race, because it's very, very open season. And again, they're proving it. They're 10th. They're only 1 point above us. They're now level on points, but they've got 2 games in hand. Again, that is crucial in this season. 2 games in hand is absolutely massive. They win those 2 games in hand. They're in top 6. That's just the way it is. That is how tight it is. So, yeah, you say about them surprised. They sort of surprised me, but at the same time, we always knew they're going to be a good side. They're in really, really good form. And again, they're like we are. They're in touching distance of the playoffs with 2 games in hand. So they're a real team to watch out for, as we come into the rest of the season. More notes as well. We'll move on to we've got to talk about Jamie Anson, haven't we? What are we thinking about Jamie Anson's performance? And if you could give him man of the match, I wouldn't be too upset if you don't, but, try and give him man of the match if you want to. I'll be reading those out. I'll try and think of someone that might deserve one. We'll talk about Hanson, because I think he today wasn't that great. I think that's the best way and politest way of putting it. I thought he had a really, really good game at right back. Really, really good work. Really, really good. First game on, try and get my words out, very good game on Tuesday. Glow in the dark says, I have, mate, I have. Really, really good work. I'm trying to read out the chat, but also trying to do this as well. He had a really, really good game generally at right back on Tuesday. But today he really looked like he hadn't played there before, which is really, really weird, because we talk about we talk about taking positives from one game and taking it into the other. And I thought Hanson was a man that, with game time, with a bit more match experience, taking it as we go, I thought he'd be a player that would build and really, take an opportunity and go, right, well, Sam Long's out injured. I'm going to come in at right back and I'm going to prove myself that I can play there. I don't think he didn't do that, because I think he had a really, really good game again on Tuesday. But today, some of the passing and some of the way, the passing, mainly the passing, really, and sometimes he was quite out of position in that right back position. Really, really, really worrying. He kept doing this thing where he would pass it across the middle of the pitch in his own area. Really, just sloppy. It's giving his teammates, putting his other teammates in danger. And obviously, it's a hospital pass. It's a really, really silly thing to do and then he kept doing it. He kept doing it like it kept working, and it actually was doing the opposite. So I really hoped he stopped doing that. And he was good against Doncaster, and that was why it really, really annoyed me that he did this today and put in a pretty sloppy performance. It's not just Hansen though. I won't just go on Hansen. I thought generally a lot of players weren't great today. We look at that starting lineup. Jack Stevens didn't have much to do. I don't think he can be to blame for any of the goals. Ruffles, pretty average. Atkinson, Moore weren't as solid, obviously, as they have been, but not awful. Hansen, we've already spoken about. Brannigan, not his best game, really. Gorin got subbed off at half time. Didn't really do anything spectacular in the first half to really do it. I don't think he got subbed off because of a bad performance. I think he got subbed off because there's no point having a defensive midfield in there. You might as well go and bring on an attacking player in that midfield to try and change something. Kelly had a really, really poor first half. Sykes probably looked like he was going to get sent off at one point. I think that's the best thing to do, was taking him off. But I don't think he had an awful game. Taylor had probably one of the best games, one of the best performances out of everyone. Barker looked good in the first half, looked lively as always, but I didn't even notice him in the second half. So it's so difficult to pinpoint a man of the match. And we spoke about it against Doncaster on Tuesday about how it was so difficult to pick a man of the match then. Well, I tell you something, it's even more difficult tonight, and not for the good reason whatsoever. I'd probably have to give man of the match to Matty Taylor. I think he was pretty decent. I thought he kept looking for the ball, which proves that we're not creating enough, and we're not playing we're not playing football the way we can if we're having strikers like Matty Taylor's coming to find the ball. It's frustrating. It's disappointing. But yeah, we had a few decent chances, and people say it wasn't our day. To that, I'll probably say, yeah, but I think we could have taken a chance. Sykes had a really, really good chance in that second half where he probably should have scored. He hasn't scored at the Kassam since February last year, so he needs a goal, especially at the Kassam, but generally needs a goal as well. And we talk about that midfield just not scoring goals and not helping us. We speak about most assists this season. When you talk about assists, you think midfielders straight away. Well, ours isn't. Ours is a left back. I'm not complaining it's Josh Revels. I think he's been fantastic. But I'd also say, mate, we need players. We need players in that midfield that are going to help us score goals and help us either score a goal or get in with those assists. Yeah, players are getting assists from that midfield, but not enough. We look at that midfield now. Gorin has got a penalty this season. Brannigan, no goals. Kelly, no goals. That's one goal in that midfield free, and it's a penalty. So in that starting midfield free today, that's no outfield goal, well, no goals from actual play, which is really, really worrying. And I think another reason why we keep, we're having these disappointing results a lot of the time, because we're just not having that support from players. And when Matty Taylor wasn't scoring, we had to look at people like Sykes and Barker, and we had to look at Lee, who wasn't in the matchday squad today, and that was annoying. And I think that was a bit of a, definitely an opportunity for Elliot Lee. I thought he could have made an impact today. But no, we look at it, and it's really, really, really disappointing. And I just really hope on Tuesday we come with a better mentality, we come with a better attitude, and we try and get something out of it. Now, before we move on, before we finish the stream, because I don't think there's a lot more to talk about the game, really. We were poor. It was a bad performance. It was very, very sloppy. But we look at Tuesday. We don't get too hard. We don't look at this game and sort of lose sleep too much over it, because we've got to look at Tuesday, and we only, it's a results business. We look at it today. It wasn't great, but we go again. That's the best thing to do. Look at it. Like Charlie said earlier, there's only 3 points difference. It's not the end of the world. However, we will talk about some positive news, because I think there are some positive news in the football club. And that is, of course, the possible takeover by an Indonesian investor who's looking to buy the club. Now, this is a very, very interesting situation to be in as an Oxford United fan. It could be very, very significant, and it could be absolutely... We don't know. No one knows how it's going to be, but it could be huge, and it could be an absolutely incredible... incredible investment for this Indonesian, well, is he? I think he's a millionaire, probably, if he's buying a football club, billionaire, something like that. But for an investor to come in, it looks like it could be a really, really significant thing for Oxford United. Now, I'll bring the story up now, because I'll read out the statements that Oxford United's, the Oxford Mayor are talking about it. At the moment, the club haven't said anything, and obviously our current ogre Tiger hasn't said anything. But the Oxford Mail, who of course are probably the biggest outlet looking at Oxford United and talking about Oxford United, have spoken about it and have got the story. So an Oxford United Indonesian investor wants to buy the club, and he wants to get the majority stake in the football club. Now, obviously, that means that he will own and he will have full control over Oxford United, because he will basically buy out Tiger and he'll own the highest percentage and the percentage that he needs to have full control over the football club. They're hoping to complete the transaction in the coming weeks and must submit a business plan to the EFL, basically meaning that it's a legit investment, and they are looking to make it sure that Oxford United, they don't just buy Oxford United and then don't do anything with it and then we go bankrupt and then obviously fall apart. They have to bring in a sustainable business plan and have to prove it to the EFL, which hopefully is something that goes through. That's going to be interesting as well. And a lot of times we get a little bit hyped up about it, but then we sort of, and then we have to sort of take a step back from it. But it looks interesting. It's something to think about. Neither Oxford United, like I said, or the chairman has commented on the situation, so we don't really know what's going on there. But apparently though he has owned Italian giants Inter Milan between 2013 and 2019, so 6 years as Inter Milan owner. He also has shareholders in the MLS club DC United as well. So he looks like he owns and has owned some absolutely massive clubs, and could be a really, really interesting and a really, really good investment for the football club. We don't know how true it is. I'm not going to go too much in detail about it yet, because we don't know. Nothing's tied up. It could be a few more weeks before we get anything confirmed, but it's definitely something to look out for. It's definitely something to be interested about. And I guess we'll say it. I think it's a possible, could today have been a little bit one of the... I don't think it is. I'm sure we'll get heard about it. I'm sure someone will say something about this. Was that maybe a distraction today, and was that maybe a reason why we lost the game? I'm going to say 100% no. I don't think that should be a reason why it distracted us, and I don't think that should be a reason why we lost. It could have been, but I generally don't think it is. And that's the way it is. But it's an interesting time. It's an interesting time to be an Oxford United fan. Today was disappointing on the pitch, but off the pitch, it could be something really, really exciting, and you never quite know. But yeah, hopefully we turn it around. It's not going to be an extra long one. I think we've run out of things to talk about, to be honest with you, because there's not too much positive to talk about, is there? And yeah, we have to really just look to Tuesday against Northampton, who are a team we need to win, and that is a must-win game. It is a must-win game. I don't care what people think about the narrative, a must-win game. That is one. Because, we will definitely be falling behind if we don't. Anyway, thank you everybody that has got involved and been part of the chat and been part of the podcast episode today. If you're watching this as a live, not as a live episode, I'm watching this as a video, thank you very, very much for tuning in. Please do like and subscribe as always. We've got a very, very exciting episode of the podcast coming out very, very soon. I've been Jack. This has been the Young Fan Podcast. Disappointing today, but on to Tuesday is probably the best way to look at it. I'll see you in a bit.